brain power and whatever else is needed in order to complete the application form as satisfactorily as you can. Beyond that, the Lieutenancy is here to support it and to work with the Royal Family and the Department of Business and Trade, but ultimately the judges, the arbiters of this process, are the Department of Business and Trade. And I can tell you that they're very experienced. We've had over many years a lot of dealings with them, and my honest opinion is they've never been more sophisticated or better organized in how they deal with applications. So I think it's a fair process, but having said that, it's also a tough process. And that, I'm not going to lie to you, something like between a quarter and a third of people at maximum will normally succeed after going through all that's required to do it. So, but one has to do it, and well worth the effort, because it is, as I say, the most prestigious and the one which everyone agrees will yield the greatest and the best results for the benefit of the ongoing benefit and development of your business. The whole way the questions are framed, the way things are set out, is almost a case study in how to analyze your business and look at things that you can do to improve those things. So I just want to do that introduction to say thank you to everyone for being here. Perhaps we've got a mixture of people here. We've got people who've won the award, people who have, help others to do it. We've Kate, who represents the Lieutenancy, and of course Louise too, our Vice Lord Lieutenant. So we've got a whole spectrum of lovely people to talk to you. So we're probably, at that point, maybe I'll turn over to Holly. Was it we're going to do first? Do we decide? Kate, remind me. Yeah. Holly, would you like to talk through your view of
Absolutely.
where we are? I'd be most grateful. Thank you.
Not a problem at all. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. Let's see if technology is going to be on our side today. Fantastic. Okay, so very lovely to speak to you all. My name is Holly Hunter. I'm the head of social value and marketing at a company called Nuneaton Signs. We were very, very honoured to receive the King's Award for Enterprise in Promoting Opportunity in 2024. So I've been invited to come and talk to you today about how we went about writing our application and what it means to be going for this award and our experiences around that. So the first thing that I would like to say is that I think the promoting opportunity category is a bit different, because in the promoting opportunity category you're telling a story. So in lots of the other categories, the data that you have to pull together is quite intense, whereas the data that you pull together for promoting opportunity is far more qualitative, because you're talking about people and about why what you have done is fantastic. So the key thing to come together in this category in particular is, what do you want to say, and why is what you're saying exemplary? Why is that different? Why is that something that is worth winning an award? So one of the ways that we went about this is, and it's why you've got all of these sticky notes in what you're looking at here, is we wrote down lots of key points that we wanted to talk about on sticky notes, and then that went on a wall in my office, and we could then sort of put those under each question. So one of the things that we did is print off all of the questions, because, as Tom rightly said, it is all online, and you can save your progress online, but we found it quite useful to have sort of an ongoing Word document that we filled in and updated all the time. So we sort of took the process offline as a way to manage that. And we were then able to sort of pinpoint what story we wanted to go into each section, because you have got a word count. And when you're looking at that word count initially, I think it seems like loads. And then once you've started, it's actually not that many. It's perhaps not enough. So one of the things that somebody who was advising us to do told us to do is to reference back as well. So you can reference back to a different question if something that you've said in another question is applicable further down the line. We said, as demonstrated in question 4, for example, so that you can reference it back without using up those valuable words that you will find that you've not got enough of. What do you want to say? That's got to be really clear. What do you want to say that meets the awarding criteria? Look at the awarding criteria. But you also need to make sure that you're explaining things in layman's terms. So the person who is going to be assessing your award won't necessarily know about what your industry is. So we're sign makers. Fortunately, sign making isn't too complicated, so that wasn't anything that was ridiculously hard for us to explain. Is how a process happens is relatively simple, but I would imagine if you're looking at something like aerospace engineering, for example, you don't want to be using all the complicated machinery names in your application without explaining what they are first, because people aren't going to go off and Google it. It is purely your application that is relevant in the assessment that's being made. So it is a team effort if you have got a team to pull together for writing the award. We didn't. We're a small business, so we only have 82 members of staff now, and when we wrote the awards we were in the 60s. We only had 60 odd members of staff, so we didn't have the resource to have a team of people working on this. So I wrote the application by myself. And I did have support from our finance team in them getting some of the accounts and things like that that are needed. They pulled that data for me. But I think it is important to know that I wouldn't want to write it again on my own if I had a choice, but you can do it. It is possible to do it on your own. So don't let that be something that puts you off, because it absolutely is possible to do that. So long as you are able to guide that story, and you've got to make it, as it says here, a real page turner. It's got to be something that that people want to find out more about, and that is what makes you really, really special. One of the things that was very valuable for us is making sure that we used our evidence. So in the promoting opportunity category in particular, you're able to upload additional pieces of evidence. So for us, when we didn't have enough words for things like a staff testimony, we had some really powerful staff stories that were talking about how we as a business had changed their life. And we were able to use one of the evidence areas to upload his full testimony and then reference that in our answer. So it was, please see evidence piece X to support this answer, and that's something that was really useful for us. There's various different ways that you can upload evidence, whether it be PDF, image, video, but just make sure that you're using them effectively, because they're a really powerful way of sort of topping up on that extra word count that does feel like it's not enough. Another thing is you're not on your own. So if, like me, you're the only person within your business who's writing it, there's a fantastic support team within the King's Award network. So we were very fortunate that one of the deputy lieutenants was able to spend some time with us reading our award application, just to sort of make sure that you are answering the question. I think that's the key thing, is like when you're at school, if you've read it and it's you've taken the wrong interpretation, you're going to fail that question. It's the same thing here. You've got to make sure you've interpreted it as it's supposed to be. So having someone proofread for you, even if it's just checking that you've answered the question in the right way, is extremely valuable. And as I said, going back and referencing the way that you've answered other questions can really help with that word count. So the context, being interesting, and answering the question are really, really key and important things that make that application stand out and be something that's easy to judge. You don't want it to be something that's very difficult to judge when there are so many applications every year, but it's still got to stand out and be interesting. Another thing is honesty. So there are some questions, particularly in the promoting opportunity category, where you have to talk about a challenge that you've overcome. And I would say certainly don't shy away from saying when something has gone wrong, because that's kind of proves why you're a business and standing in the footing that you're in today. You have to have overcome a challenge to sort of be working in the modern world. So don't shy away from that, but also everything that you say has got to check out, because if you're getting through to the next sort of stages of assessment, then things will be analysed and things will be checked. Your online presence will be checked, your social media, your website, all of those things can and probably will be looked at. So there's no point in putting something in there that isn't true, because you will get caught out. And silly things like spelling, grammar, all of that matters as well. One of the ladies who I work with from the King's Award office told me that somebody was disqualified because they entered their end of year financials in the wrong order. So it really does matter. You can be disqualified on something as simple as that, which would be very frustrating when you'd written all of those amount of other words, I'm sure, to be disqualified just on that, based on that feedback that you get back. So yes, as I said, don't make claims you can't prove, but the proof is in the pudding. So really, really do use that evidence. It really matters. They wouldn't put it in there for you to be able to use it if it didn't matter. A picture paints 1,000 words, you know. Seeing is believing, as I like to say when people are coming in to visit us at Nuneaton Signs. You look at us on paper and it's a signage manufacturing company, which is pretty boring, but actually looking at the faces of the people that we've impacted is what really kind of is the hearts and minds piece. So definitely try and get things personalised and look at it that way, at sharing yourself in the best possible light. I'm afraid that we aren't the best person to talk about what happens if we don't win, because we actually were very lucky that we won first time round. However, having been working in the space of the King's Award community now for a few years and speaking to various different people within industry who didn't get through first time, they've said that the feedback is fantastic that you get off the basis of not winning. You know, so it is quite specific feedback that you get that details how and why you weren't able to succeed. But I've also been advised that you can't copy and paste from last time either. You do have to start again. So watch this space if when we have to go for it again in a couple of years, and I might be able to give better feedback that time round. As I don't count my chickens that I'm going to be that lucky twice in a row. But yeah, as I've heard from colleagues, the feedback is fantastic that you get. So really do take that on board. Be prepared is the big thing, but believing in yourself. I'd like to think that none of you would be here on this call today if you didn't think that you were in for a chance of winning. And I know that I felt exceptionally proud and honoured to be in with a chance of going for a King's Award for Opportunity, and then looking at the faces of all of my colleagues when we did win, and have the Lord Lieutenant come in was just remarkable. You know, it was truly amazing to see everybody's faces as they watched us be presented with that award. And you can do it on your own, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's because there are certain elements of the process, if you are successful, where you're under embargo and you can't sort of share the burden with other people. So I would recommend that you do get a couple of people involved, so that you're not in the position like I am of having to submit it whilst on holiday and then get the press releases coming through a few months later while also on holiday, because that's not very helpful for you and your work-life balance. But it's possible, you can do it. So that's all from us at Nuneaton Signs. I think we're going to go to questions at the end. But yeah, if you're here today because you obviously believe that you've got something that is exemplary, and I think that really speaks a lot for itself, and you should be very proud to even think that you're in that position. So carry on with that gumption through your writing process.
Holly, can I say thank you very much indeed? That was excellent.
You're very
insightful.
welcome.
No, it's properly insightful as to your experience and how it goes. So that's much more authentic than any of us can do. You've lived and breathed it and got there. So congratulations. And as you say, anyone else who's sitting here in hope, hopefully there's an inspiration there too. Right. Well, perhaps we can move to Emma. I think Emma's going to speak a little bit about her experiences too, which would be equally interesting, I'm sure. So over to you, Emma.
Right then. Here we go. So I'm Emma Heathcote-James. I founded the Little Soap Company back in 2008 now. So really showed my age 18 years ago. And from the get-go, we always did things properly. I went to an event by our local lieutenancy three or 4 years before I actually applied. I went to go and see what the King's or Queen's Awards it was back then were about, and said, you know, this is something we really, really should be doing. But having looked at the criteria, we weren't there yet. So I think that's a really important point, that, you know, this can take a long time to kind of like get through. So our story, kitchen table to supermarket shelf, is essentially how it all began. It was a very genuine story. The King's Awards, you know, the King Awards likes stories, likes the storytelling aspect, and we're now in all of the local supermarkets. So our journey, we applied back in 2002 for innovation, and we got it first time round. Then I'd always wanted sustainability, but had been advised sustainability was the hardest one to get, and to perhaps try for innovation first and then go for sustainability. So I kind of thought we got it in the bag, and we applied for that in 2024, and we were totally unsuccessful and had some great feedback. We took on the feedback, applied again the following year, unsuccessful again, and I was absolutely devastated because I really genuinely believed we were doing the best that we could. And again, we followed the feedback, we made some tweaks, we bettered the business, and we won it this year, which was my kind of biggest hurrah. And I think the biggest lesson that I could share with you was it wasn't about changing the business. We were doing things correctly, and I'm quite relieved to say that we were. It was actually about explaining it better. So like Holly said, it's all about answering the questions. It's like being back at school, isn't it? We've got to make sure we answer the question correctly. And quite often, you know, we use our own jargon. We know, you know, that we've got X, Y, and Z, and we're doing it to the best of our capability. The other person doesn't know unless you've actually explained it well. So in terms of learning from mistakes, what we did was we just assumed the judges understood our business. We assumed that they were really technical in the know-how of our factory production, in our supply chain. We answered the question we wanted to answer, which, like when we're back at school, doesn't get us 10 out of 10. Like I said, we tended to use jargon because we believed it was a business award and we were kind of speaking on a level. And the judges are all brilliant, but they don't know our businesses inside out. So it's a difficult one. It's on a level, but you've also got to explain it. And things to us that were really massive, like we're, I don't know, carbon negative, like our B Corp certification. Well, everyone's a B Corp now, but actually we've recertified. We didn't explain, well, us not explaining that, we presumed it was understood. But of course, if you're not in the industry, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And we kind of treated it a bit like an award entry rather than a business case. And I think, you know, we're all very passionate about our own businesses, but this wasn't about passion, it was about evidence. And that was a real lesson for me. And in terms of what we changed each time round, explaining things a lot clearer, answering the question, taking the jargon out. And basically, it was about strategy. Certainly for the Sustainability Award was totally about strategy. So evidence and strategy, I'd say, are two things I'd really flag up. So in terms of what made the difference, challenge ourselves to explain our weaknesses, which we have. You know, every business has got weaknesses, and what are we doing about them? Evidence, like I said. Measurable impact, that was one that we really had to kind of do a lot better on than when we first put in the application form. And also independent verification of our sustainability credentials. It's all great, you know, saying yes, we do X, Y, and Z, but you know, we have all these external audits in the appendix. It's a case of showing those, proving it. So again, it's just that evidential backup. And ongoing improvement versus already great. You know, they don't want to know you're a brilliantly sustainable company. Where are you going to be in the next 5-10 years? So for me, it was great in that we know where we're going in the next 5-10 years, which, you know, obviously we were going to do that anyway, but it really focused the mind. It is like a kind of a big audit applying for these awards, because it's where are we now and where are we going? And it just gives you that space to do it. So here's the team a couple of weeks ago on our team away day. So reasons to apply a snapshot journey. So I just wanted to show you, I'm very visual, of what it looked like to us as a business winning the Queen's Award back in 22. So the press announcement went out then in April. We had so much publicity, which I didn't quite appreciate how much we'd have. There was such a buzz, so many bottles of champagne landing in the office, so many suppliers really kind of like, I don't know, people like success stories, don't they? They like happy news stories. So that was a really, really lovely thing. And obviously publicity, there's no such thing as bad publicity. And this went on and on for quite a while. We had a good excuse to suddenly poke all of our, warm and lukewarm prospects. And the sales team sent out an email saying, hey, look, literally, it just had this kind of little GIF on. It was a while ago, going, we've been awarded the Queen's Award for Enterprise. We're so proud. And the email above came back. We had been poking this guy for months and months and months, and it was just two-liner going, hi, Emma, very well done. Suggest we should maybe discuss the possible avenues regards wholesaling into 8,000 pharmacies. Now, obviously, we'd been doing the work in the background, but a good news story, people like it. It landed on his desk at the right time. Absolutely, that was connected with, it gives you credibility and its validity, isn't it, of having that royal nod of approval. Everyone likes a party. Like Holly said, we had a big party with all the team. We had an afternoon tea. We had the lieutenant there, the Lord Lieutenant there. We had the DLs there. We had all the team there. We had kind of, I don't know, company VIPs, people who've supported us from day one, as well as key suppliers and customers, etc. Which was fab. We obviously had the certificate, which hangs up. We've more press, etc., etc. We've also got the flag, which no one's mentioned. The flag's my kind of like favorite part. So when you win an award, you're allowed to fly the flag outside. We've got a calendar of our flag through the ages in Broadway. Obviously, there's the invite to the palace, which, not everybody gets in their lives. It's like a Where's Wally this is. I think I'm down here somewhere on the right-hand corner. But, that's something you'll never forget. And of course, there's sharing the story and all of the kind of social media surrounding it, which was fabulous. And again, community engagement. So quantifying it, we had nearly 5 million touch points in terms of press circulation for that, and podcasts and various other things. Then we created a strategy in terms of what we were going to do to win the next award. So we'd got various other awards we were going for. We knew we were recertifying B Corp. We knew we were we started getting loans. We won grants in terms of the innovation grants, and we got various other things. The press interest, the Daily Mail particularly loved us and put some ridiculous stuff out, but it all helped, and it all helped sell soap. So it's great. But it's fab. Once journalists know who you are and they kind of like think you're semi-reputable, it all goes for the greater good. We ended up in the Daily Mail's beauty calendar. So they did do some good. And more opportunities came in the last 3 years as well. So a lot more events to speak at, which again is raising my profile, raising the brand's profile. So then King's Award, this was announced in May 2026. This one, I did it a couple of months ago, was all the press that we've had so far. Huge thanks to the King's Award office. They got us into the Times, which was mega, and all of these other publications as well. So exactly the same. Then this was, I think it was last month, we were going down to St James Palace for the celebration, and our MP invited us to Parliament to go and have afternoon tea with him. I think it was actually a glass of wine in the end, on the terrace, which was just such a lovely event. And it is about celebrating. Then we went on to St James Palace. It was that 36-degree heat that we had the other month. So we had it out in the garden, which was just fabulous. And Princess Royal was there, King Charles was there. It was just something you'll never, ever forget. And again, sharing the story. And of course, there's a lot more to come because we need to hoist the flag. We need to have the team party. And, the cycle goes on. And in terms of what's for next, then what's for next is obviously the Export Award. Now, we're not there yet. We need to get our numbers up. It needs to be 3 consecutive years. So that's there's always something on the trajectory. And I think that's what's so lovely in terms of us getting onto this kind of train, so to speak. There's always something else to aim at. So that's our story in a kind of potted, very fast nutshell.
Thank you very much, Emma. That was brilliant. And once again, you're an exemplar to us all. And I'm delighted you keep at it, because one of the things I would say is the West Midlands, sadly, is not as well represented as it should be with these awards. So we really are all on your side to try and get as many success stories as possible properly accepted and get our numbers of awards up there to challenge our pals in Greater Manchester, where we are neck and neck half the time, but we should be further ahead. But there we are.
Not that we're competitive at all, Tom.
Not that I'm biased at all, you know what I mean? Anyway, I at this point, I'm going to shut up a bit and just, can we please have any questions, please, from anyone about what they've heard thus far, and then we can try and feed them back as. There we are. Louise, go ahead.
Yeah, and I know you've got a couple of slides, Tom, if you wanted to use them, but for Holly, for Emma, and possibly Jules, well, Tom, you're a winner as well. I'm thinking about that basic eligibility criteria. You know, you've got to be based in the UK,
Yep.
You've got to have at least 2 full-time employees, and then comes the biggie, the finances, the relationship with HMRC. And I wonder, Emma, Holly, Jules or Tom, I wonder, did you find that daunting? So how did you face off to the big question, which is, tell me about your finances and your growth?
I think it is what it is. It's not something, it's not a form that you're going to sit down and write overnight, okay? And I don't know who's actually looked at the form. It's very different to any other awards application I've personally ever applied for. And we did it over weeks, I'd say. You know, it's something you come back to, it's something you add to, it's something you get the finance team, your accountants on board with. It's a kind of whole group effort. You know, it was just our senior team that I had involved. We're a very small team, but it takes time. And if you're honest and you've got nothing to hide, there's nothing to worry about.
How about Holly? Because you said, Holly, you said, sorry, Jules, you said, well, I single-handedly really had to write this. I don't know if you mentioned your finance person. So again, how did you really show that financial rigor of the company, which is an absolute must to get across the line on the KNH?
Do you know what? It's a tricky one, because I really echo what Emma says, is that you've just got to be honest, because you can't lie. I mean, it's on blooming company's house, for goodness sake. Like, you can't lie.
Exactly.
So I did. There's questions, financial jargon parts that weren't necessarily bits that I was confident with. However, I asked our guy in finance, and he knew enough himself that we didn't have to ask our accountant, because they're not wild and wacky questions. It's basic stuff that you're having to report on every year anyway. You're just sort of putting it into your application. That's all it is. And they're not asking for anything that, if you're reporting your finances, isn't publicly available anyway. So you know, there's no point in gatekeeping anything, because it will get found out. But I think that actually, when we're looking at the data analytical part of it, one of the things that, when I've spoken to a lot of companies about doing the application, that they found more challenging was reporting on the diversity and inclusion section, and looking at reporting about individuals that they support, whether they're people who are from the BAME community, have experienced domestic violence, are an ex-offender, or an army leaver, and you get asked in detail, and correct me if I'm wrong, Emma, it's for every category that you get asked this.
And we implemented that, because it's like, do you know what, we don't do that, we should, and we do every year now. And you know, neurodiversity, you know, well, myself and my wife are both neurodiverse, but we'd never actually asked the team if any of them were, which is like, that's just absolutely ridiculous. Why hadn't we done that? It was just such an admission for us as leaders. So and what, you know, does anyone need adaptions? Obviously we do. Does anybody else? We'd never thought to ask, and just because no one had asked didn't mean that they didn't. So it has bettered us. And you know, staff questionnaires, you know, staff, is it satisfaction
surveys?
Satisfaction was, so things like that. There's so many things we've implemented it. So that's what I mean. We weren't ready the first year to apply. We needed to do a lot of work in the lead up, but it's good stuff to do that you should be doing as a business anyway.
And you do have to
One
backdate
thing-
that as well, don't you? It's not just I've done this year, these are my people this year. You have to be able to say what they were for the past few years. And I think what's very key is to know that it's okay to put 0 in the boxes. So it feels like if you're doing something wrong, if you've got line after line of zeros, but you can't employ everybody.
Yeah.
So having zeros on that section is normal, and other people do have that who have still one, and it's fine.
Just very quickly, while we're on the
Right.
financial side of it, you do absolutely need to have your financial auditors, the guys who help and do your accounts, to be on site so that they can verify, as has already been said. But one thing that I would note, because we did one for an export basis, you don't have to stick with the absolute accounting year of your company. You can pick a 12-month period to suit what would give a better answer, if you like. It's got to be true, which it always is, of course, but I'm saying your starting point doesn't necessarily have to align with your company year end. And we actually did that because it gave a prettier picture for how our 3-year growth had been. Anyway, I'll be quiet. Kate, you wanted to go?
Right. Yep, I was just going to bring in Mitch, actually, because we've not heard from him with his thoughts on one or two of the questions that are being asked.
Okay.
If
Mitch.
he's there.
And I think Julian had his hand up earlier too. Mitch, are you around?
Hello,
I'm there.
I'll
Sorry, I
pop
was
in.
just sending a quote off to a customer. My apologies. I saw an email come in and I thought I'll get it away while I get chance.
Good man.
So
Apologies.
what were your experiences, Mitch, of the whole process?
Really interesting. I suppose, I mean, I can run through the presentation very quickly. I don't want to bombard everyone with like continual presentations. But I'll probably answer the question and flash through it. Mine's not very long, about 4 or 5 slides, because I didn't want
No,
it to
that would be
too
brilliant.
long.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, what was my initial experience, to be honest? So the story of us getting the King's Awards was we applied for the first time in 2023. We were unsuccessful. And they effectively said, what you do is fantastic, but your application is rubbish. So go and get help writing your application, because you've got all the right stuff, but you've put it in there like knife and forked it. So they were like, you need some professional help to speak to us in the language we understand. And that's the key thing for us. Obviously, you know, we're a technology company, we're a 3D printing business. So some of our, I suppose, lingo and explanation, and you raised that, Tom, just went over the judges' heads, and, you know, no surprise that it did. And they said, it sounds really good, but we don't have a clue what half of this means. So please have someone help you explain it in a way we can understand. So that was the first bit that was quite positive, and it also gave us some good insights on the business. I know Emma's mentioned about that. It really is like a really good free business audit on what you're doing well and what you need to improve on and how to make the business better. Yeah, we really took that to heart, to be completely honest, and it's helped us massively. And I'll jump into the presentation now just to show you guys very quickly. 2 secs. Hopefully it's going to load. Can you all see this okay?
Yep.
All good? Awesome. Right. So yeah, we're a 3D printing company founded in 2017 in my mum's garage. And we've had rapid growth over the last 10 years. So it's quite exciting. We're just in our 10th year now. So we've won the King's Award for Innovation in 2024. And we've won the International Trade this year in 2026. So that was quite cool. And to be honest, the Innovation Award was massively contributory to winning the International Trade Award. Having that ability to have a technology that's recognised at a national level, like an award like this, really gave us the limelight to speak to customers and really hang our hat on it, to win more international business effectively. So who are we? What do we do? And why do we get asked to talk today? So obviously we're a production 3D printing business. We service automotive, aerospace, defence, drones, marine, product, anything you can possibly think of. We've even just recently done a job to do lots of 3D printing for merchandise for the Ariana Grande tour. So we can be doing stuff one day that's highly secretive, and the other day we're doing stuff that's merchandise for merchandise for concerts and pop stars. It's a really random business, if that makes sense. But our main stuff is engineering and manufacturing components. And I suppose we got asked to talk today because we're a young business. I'm quite a young founder, which is quite mad being 30. I feel really old because I've been doing it for 10 years now and exhausted. But winning 2 awards in that time is quite cool. So timeline of the business. So we founded it in 2017 in the garage, delivered our first project in 2018, started doing hypercar stuff and consult with F1 teams, won a few programs, then won some more programs, set the factory up, won more programs, then we won the King's Award for Innovation, and we launched our own 3D printer, which has been really instrumental to us. The development of our own machine, winning the award at the same time, has helped us win a lot more contracts, especially in defence and international. And then 2025 starting to win more, and 2026 it's effectively a case of just stay tuned because we're continuing to win more projects. Now I've shown you the automotive ones because we're allowed to talk about those. I can't talk about all the others. So really cool that someone genuinely would come and shoot me if I spoke about them, unfortunately. So it wouldn't be the smartest thing to do. Our mission for the business is to lead the world in production 3D printing and 3D printed tooling, and we're really focused on doing that from the UK. As I suppose messed up as the UK is at the moment from a business perspective, and the insanity that we've had from I don't know, governments over the last 20 years, I still believe that the UK is a place you can grow your business, thrive. And I think the King's Awards really champions that. So for me, the innovation is really key in enabling all of the others. And even stuff that, Emma spoke about with sustainability, you have to innovate in order to create sustainability as well. And it then opens other doors for international trade as well. Company overview. So we're based in Shipston-on-Stour in Warwickshire. Done 23 vehicle programs, average of 700 components per vehicle. Sorry, my camera falls off all the time. And at the moment, this is a little bit out of date because I sent this a couple of months ago. We've delivered over 3.5 million production parts now to customers. And a lot of that abroad, about 70% of it now is international business for us. Lots of different mixed technologies. So some people will know what this is, but where we specialize is doing things that other people can't. And developing in-house 3D printers as well. So rather than relying on external supply chains, we design and develop and manufacture stuff internally. And it's helped us a lot from a defence perspective. And this was massively key in winning the Innovation Award in 2024. It's been really positive. So King's Awards process and not being successful, obviously you can apply via the website. Attend and support the sessions like this because the Lieutenancy will do absolutely everything they can to support you. And if you don't win, take the advice and be brutally honest with yourself and your company about why you weren't successful, because they don't give it to you for the right reasons. You don't win it because of anything other than you deserve to win it, and you fail because you don't deserve it at that point in time. It's a really honest approach to you as a business owner and entrepreneur and how you deal with things. And not being successful in 2023 was sort of the best thing that could have happened to us. So where we weren't successful, we went, right, we know what we need to develop. We developed those things. We then won new international contracts that helped us win the International Trade Award. And then we're starting to win more defence contracts now off the back of it. So I know defence is a really big buzzword at the minute for manufacturing and people are looking at it. This definitely puts you on the map and stands you out from the crowd if you have an innovation or International Trade Award and you're a manufacturing company and you're looking to grow in the defence sector. And then, what's happened? It's just really simple. One of them has dominoed into the other. We've had export growth, customer engagement increased massively, international knowledge of the business, network opportunities, new contract wins. And one funny thing is all of my American customers now think I'm a sir. I haven't corrected a single one of them, even though it's completely wrong, because I just find it hilarious. But it's loved and and cared about by the international community. So that's the business. Thank you for listening to me. And any questions, I guess, on that?
That's brilliant, Mitch. Really inspiring again, and congratulations on all that you've achieved. I think Jules, you wanted to come in. Perhaps
I've got a small slideshow. Yeah, but it answers some pretty important questions. So would you mind if I bring that up?
No, go for it. Yeah, we will.
Do you want to take Giselle's question first?
Yeah, we can do that, Giselle.
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
Sure, I'll just say thank you, Sir Mitch, for the presentation. No, thank you, everyone. This has been really insightful. My name's Giselle. I've been building a business in the UK for the last 3 years. And two questions. One is a short one. In just deciding which of the awards to apply for, it sounds like there is kind of a progression that many businesses have. I'm looking between the innovation, sustainability, or promoting opportunity awards. How did you go about deciding which one to apply for if you were eligible for each? And then Mitch, you gave great examples there, but Holly and Emma, what tangible impacts to the business did you end up seeing? I think there's a lot around awards and kind of the vanity metrics behind it, but I'm especially interested in this one because it really seems rooted in tangible impacts and growth for the business. So just maybe a bit more, beyond the headlines, how did it actually impact the growth of your companies?
So for us, when we were looking at the categories, we could have gone for innovation and we could have gone for sustainability in our field. However, our strongest story and our biggest USP is the good stuff that we do. And also promoting opportunity is one of the smallest categories. So it receives the fewest applications and there's the fewest winners. So because we felt that we had a really strong story in that area, we thought we'd give that one a go first, particularly because some of the things that you have to gather for promoting opportunity, if we weren't successful, could then be used in another category moving forward to kind of evidence why we're an exemplary business, especially with the data analysis of individuals that we talked about earlier. We knew that we could carry that forward. We didn't see anywhere near as much good stuff coming from our award as Emma did. So I kind of want to give that as that can happen too. We were set up in 1982 to manufacture signs. So we've been going for 40 odd years. So we did have the data and we did have the evidence, but I was kind of having to comb through lots of people's work for it. So I guess there's almost an easier part of it. If you've been there since you've started on the ground up a bit like Mitch has, that's perhaps a bit easier because you know the ins and outs, whereas I was going through all sorts of people's weird archived files. But it did mean that one of the things that we really got out of it was a fantastic document full of all of the really good stuff that we'd done as a business in the last 3 years that we could then use to evidence when we were writing tender submissions for work that we wanted to apply for in the coming years as well. So we did get some good PR. It was covered locally. There were some bits on BBC News, but it was nothing like being in the Times, etc., like Emma was, because our business isn't as interesting, it's not as glamorous. It's making road signs, so it's not as interesting, and that's something to bear in mind. Is what your business is kind of will depend how much gravitas goes behind it with PR and things. It does I just say make a difference.
The PR didn't land in our laps. We put in work behind it.
Yeah. And I think that it can be a bit of a misconception because people say that really good PR can come of it, but it's not just given to you. I'm sure Emma put endless hours in to getting that to happen. It's a good reason to get PR, but it doesn't just happen automatically. You're not contacted by the mail. Don't sit and look at who's won and reach out to you. That's not. That would be a bit of a pipe dream.
Say in our case, which was export. That's one of the ones that's the most easy to evidence because it's just a fact what your export sales are.
Yeah.
And if you've got 30% compound growth, you're pretty much in the right place. It's some of these things which are more less directly tangible and just directly measurable. You've got to write your spiel behind it to be very good, as we've just discussed. Others that are more technical are perhaps a little easier to do your evidence, I would say. Yeah,
definitely get a PR agency, like 100%. And we were quite lucky, like Emma, we had a bucket load of coverage, but it was only because we had a cracking PR team we worked with for the last sort of 5 years. You've got to build that relationship, build the trust with journalists so that they actually want to talk to you and they know you've got something to say. I think that's a really big key aspect. 100%.
Yeah,
I can underline that exactly. It's not just sending out a few press releases. We had a PR agency, and we actually got a new PR agency in January because we thought we could do better this time, hoping that third time we'd be lucky. So we preempted it. So it is all about strategy and prepping, isn't it? Constantly the whole time.
Yeah, sure.
But
Thank
then
you.
equally, if you can't afford that and you are doing it yourself, because we as a business don't have the budget to have a PR agency, so it is all internal. Everything that we do, we didn't get nothing, and the opportunities that kind of came organically from it were still substantial, and it's still really strengthened our position with our existing customers. And now, several years on, we've seen that strength come and have now got the press contacts and the PR opportunities that have happened organically because we've got the King's Award in our back pocket to back us up. But so maybe if we went for it now, it would be different. But we didn't have the contact straight away for sure.
Yeah, thanks, Ollie. Jules, do you want to just talk us through your presentation? Whatever you've got lined up for us, please.
Can you see that? Come up.
No.
Presentation.
Yeah, it's coming now.
Yeah. Any luck?
It's a big one.
Yeah, it's on its way.
It's coming. The anticipation, Jules, goodness.
It's all those high resolution photographs of our beautiful equipment.
We've just got the night sky at the moment, Jules.
Right. Any luck?
No.
Not yet.
You might have to dance it or sing it.
Yeah. Let me just go through one of these slides. One of the things that I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. We've got very poor line speed here. With respect to Birmingham, and if we wanted to get fibre, it's going to cost us £45,000 to take a line 40 cars. We have an upload speed of about 1 megabit per second. So that's probably what it is. It's our line speed. One of the things that I would suggest is when you're looking at your company, yeah, you need to write down everything that you do. Yeah. So, for example, if you look at the overall aspect of KPMG, yeah, we export to 38 countries in the world. We are 95% UK manufacture. We are 96% recyclable by weight. Warranty return rate over 14 years is 0.038%. Yeah. We have no plastic or minimize plastic or volatile organic chemicals. We are certified globally by pretty much every single marine class society. And we don't do discretionary spend. We only do commercial. Yeah. So if somebody comes up to me and says, I want you to do my super yacht, yeah, we won't do it. Yeah, because I've got to work on where the money's coming from, and I have to be very careful with some of my clients. But things that we've been doing forever and a day, we take for granted, isn't done by every single company. So, for example, our minimum wage to highest wage is 2.5 times. So what it means is that we earn money, everybody moves up. Yeah. We have no statutory sick pay. If you're ill, you get paid. Yeah. We want you back. We have private health. We have a very flat structure. Basically 2 levels, truth be known. We delegate down to the shop floor, so purchasing is delegated. We did that, and we increased productivity by 200%. That's the difference it made. Our attendance is 99.9%. Our retention rate over 32 years is 100%. Yeah. Bonus each month, no lock cabinets or doors. All team members are allowed to solve problems, and we don't do automation, we do automation, which is we use the automation to help the person get out more rather than to replace people. So these are things that we took for granted. So I guarantee if you went through your company and you looked at all these little things, yeah, it would paint a really big picture that would impress the judges at the King's Award. The other thing that I would say is look at your if you're doing innovation, sometimes the thing that you think is innovative isn't the innovation. I visited a company in Ettington that make very high quality trophies, and they do all the Formula One, all the tennis tournaments. And they were talking about all of the processes and how innovative they were. And then they brought out this little laminated plastic, very cheap award, trophy. And it was the way that they managed to bond the two together. It was perfectly optically clear. Now, I've been in manufacturing 40 years, not enough, 45 years. And I couldn't figure out how they did it. And it is that what they took for granted was actually the innovation. Yeah, so back to them.
Jules, we're struggling to hear you.
Yeah, I think we
Can you
better.
hear me?
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
not terribly well, I'm afraid. But anyway, I think we've got the gist of some of the background and the strengths that you've aspired, and obviously you've been very successful, which is brilliant. I just wonder if maybe got any more questions.
What I would suggest is do your finance numbers first. If you're doing innovation or export, do them first. And the other thing is that if you look at, and Emma would know this from doing innovation, when you do innovation and export, the finance numbers are a lot more involved. Yeah. So
they are. It's not just. It's not just what's on Companies House. You do have to give a lot more. And if you get through to the finals, if you get through to the kind of final round, that does need, what you've submitted needs to be verified by your accountant. So I'd recommend that you share with your accountant what you're submitting, so you don't end up having egg on your face, and just do it correctly from the get-go. Yeah,
absolutely. Kate, is it worth throwing up some of the slides that I don't want to talk quickly about eligibility and things that people might.
I'm very conscious. I'm very conscious. We've only got a minute to go.
Is it really only 1 minute? I'm going to say.
Yeah, because we were only going to be on for an hour. So what I would suggest is that I suspect a lot of people have already looked at the government website, and we can send our slides round to everybody anyway, which gives the headlines of eligibility for each category. So we can happily share that, and hopefully we'll share a recording of this as well. But I am conscious that we said we'd only take an hour of people's time, and we're at our limit.
Yeah, very good. The only thing I would quickly add is that the close is the middle of September. So if you, I don't know how far you are in the process, but please crack on, speak to us. I hope not to postpone to next week, but next year, but wherever you are, we'll try and help you to get over the line. And I hope that what you've heard has been helpful. But we're still here even after this. So contact us individually or through the lieutenancy, and we'll try and help.
The best way is to give us a call at the West Midlands Lieutenancy, and we can then direct you to one of our deputy lieutenants in the right county and things to help and support.
Thanks, Kate. Yeah. Right. I think. Sorry, somebody else want to speak? Go ahead.
I just said good. Oh.
Sorry, Jules, we're not hearing you, mate. The connection's not there.
I think no, it's my line.
I think that's as good as we can probably do for today. So thanks once again to everyone for being here. Please,
Tom, sorry. In the chat, there's a question of what's the best way to get in touch with the lieutenancy.
If you just email me, Clark at WM Lieutenancy, we can take it from there. I think if you've got our meeting details, you'll see all my contact details are in there.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, thanks once again for being here. Best of luck, and enjoy the sunshine while it lasts. Yeah.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for all.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well done all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Trying to log out here. Oh dear.